Well, I'm sure Lantry has some choice words for me right about now.
That's twice now. By Kyrus's icy nethers, twice! Edicts have been broken before, but never in all my many years have I heard of one person doing it twice.
Huh. That was not what I expected. I mean, I expect Lantry to be ecstatic and excited about weird historical crazy stuff happening, but I broke the edict by stealing the Silent Archive and giving it to the Voices of Nerat. So that seems like it would piss him off. That doesn't, I was expecting that to be the topic first. Alright. Wow. Maybe I'll slay an Archon, still planning my day.
I think that's a jest. But others will see your actions and assume you're capable of just about anything, especially slaying an Archon.
So what's on your mind? You want to discuss matters of the present, or would you prefer a scholarly rant? No, that's it for now. Oh, nothing else to say. Okay. What's the update up here? Sages Guild. What do you mean I have wrath with them for, destroying the burning library and everything? You collapsed the burning library, destroying everything within and leaving the sages in disarray. You killed a sage. You killed Renata, removing the last source of sage leadership. They were appalled by your ignorant ways. Yeah. We're not gonna get no plus defense against spells. Maybe next time. Oh, right. There's Foul Murmur. I forgot that we left off here and not at the base. That's fine. But I should be ready to just completely losing track of it. Yeah, it should be time to go to the Voices of Nerat. Surprisingly, this zone did not end with a... Well, not surprisingly, because we could tell from the map. But, yeah, we finished a zone without getting a tower. So no progress has been made there, and I still have like 3 more of those to go, so... There may be a lot more game left than I thought. I'm sure we probably have to go to the Blade Grave next. That's hopefully at least cool looking. The premise seems like it. Look how empty this area is by comparison. No one's claiming it, there's no hints of civilization there, although they might just not be on the map yet. Cacophony. Here I come, voices. Are you ready to hear me? Next up, let's see how Barik reacts. Whoa. Oh, the trumper. Okay.
It is rare enough that anyone has the opportunity to proclaim an edict, much less break one. How are you holding up, Fatebinder?
I toy with powers greater than my understanding, and yet I don't stop.
At least you are aware of your recklessness. I would be more concerned if the case was otherwise. Take care that you don't exhaust yourself and become worthless to the war effort.
Barik looks you up and down with appraisal, keeping any conclusions to himself.
What can I do for you?
We haven't talked to him really yet. I probably really should, too. You don't like me very much, do you? Your deeds have earned you a measure of respect in my eyes, but do not mistake my approval for admiration. The question is irrelevant. You support the Voices in Nerat, makes you an enemy of Graven Ash and no friend of mine. I cling to our allegiance and hope that it will end the war and bring dignity to the disfavored. I'd like to know more about you. He stares at you with a vacant expression, as if searching for any fabrication or mockery behind your words. At last he lets his shoulders sag with a heavy sigh. I am the line your enemies cannot cross. All other details are meaningless. As I suspect, you have some thirst for details, so ask away. Tell me about your name. You have no right to such information. Only a true friend or an ally to the Legion can have any claim to my informal speech. Did you seek the trade of war, or did it find you? Both, I suppose. I knew fighting was in my blood, but the disfavored offered me a chance to use my skills to bring peace. Otherwise, I'd have wound up some brigand or an enforcer to a crooked merchant. Barik taps his scabbard, looking away in thought. The disfavored needed recruits in anticipation of the march south. They offered to care for my mother and brother as long as I stayed with the Legion, which is a greater guarantee than you'll find anywhere else. I was an elite fighter, as far as most were concerned, though still green by disfavored standards. Luckily for everyone, my skills were improved under the Iron Marshal's rigorous training. So what's the story with your armor?
It is a symbol of Kairos' will, one that I am not likely to forget. I found this armor. Perhaps it would be better to say that it found me during the Edict of Storms.
I proclaimed the edict. Where were you when it struck? I had taken to battle, knowing full well that the edict was approaching and the people of Stalwart were prepared. In spite of my setback, the sense of duty compelled me to march to the stronghold into the heart of the realm. Our march was a hasty one. A cohort of disfavored soldiers vanished from the second year of the war, among them the daughter of Graven Ash. After long silence, we learned that she was held in the fortress of Sentinel's Stand. Go on. As we were surrounded by the citadel, I heard the opening pearls of thunder. As did the scout I was busy trying to kill. When the winds hit like an avalanche, many of us begged Kairos for deliverance. What else were we to do? The winds knocked the legs of our offensive out from under us. All the decorated soldiers I brought to the battle were swept up and dashed to pieces, their armor and bodies mixing with the dirt of a tornado that spun in maddening revolutions. Damn thing chooses this moment to go dry, and with so few survivors to recount the edict. Bah! Landry shakes his quill and presses it harder against a scrap of parchment, imploring it to write. A piece of the sentinel wall broke off and nearly crushed my skull. I only remember a few scattered moments from the storm, like the flying bits of bronze and iron cutting my flesh, and the severed limbs of fallen soldiers tumbling through the air. Eventually I woke up, thinking myself trapped under rubble. Then I rose, and it felt like I was buckling under my own weight. That's when I realized I was stuck, right and truly stuck, inside this heap of scrap. It looks like pretty solid protection. That would be an understatement, if only it protected me from foolish questions. Barik regards you in such a way that you can tell that he's rolling his eyes. A forlorn sigh escapes his helmet. Do you handle your own repairs? I try to keep the surface oiled to slow the spreading rust, and I bend the plates from time to time, but repairs, maintenance, no. If you have any ideas on how to better maintain this situation, I'm open to discussing them. As with all disfavored, I assume you grew up in the Northern Empire? That's right. I grew up in the Battle's Rest, then trained at Fort Resolution before they marched me out to support the second cohort. I hope to spend my resting years in Fretton Shores, unless of course I die in a glorious battle, which would be preferable. My mother is good with the soil, my father with rings. He spends much of his time away on one merchant's errand or another. Still, I'm lucky to say they're both alive. You seem like a more than capable fighter. I trained with the spear and shield in my youth, but gave it up the day I earned disfavored iron. I can still throw with some accuracy, but it's a challenge these days. He knocks twice on his helmet. Why? Were you interested in a sparring session? I heard rumor that Ash has an unbeatable sword-fighting technique. You flatter the Legion's reputation, but the Archon does make sure we are competent swordsmen. Observe. Lovebridge gained 5 one-handed weapon skill ranks. Ooh, just like that. Barik takes up a sword and offers several practice jabs, testing its weight and balance before you know what to expect. Gleaming iron whips through the air fast enough for a sharp breeze to disturb the air. Barik does this several more times, never showing any sign of exhaustion. What is it you have in mind? Oh, so I was picking one of 2 options for a skill up, wasn't I? I didn't realize that at the time. Crap. I bet you the spearing a wild boar was a throwing skill. I'm raising my throwing skill just fine, though. And I use both whenever I enter melee range, so it's fine. What are your thoughts of me and my deeds? The disfavored loathe you. Every day I spend it with you no doubt harms my standing in the Legion. I am bound to not kill you while you sleep. But know that I could likely win the Legion's favor with such a move. You have something of a following amongst the Scarlet Chorus. Did you always aspire to be the idol of thieves and rapists? If so, you've done yourself proud. Barik steps in close. The smell of rancid olive oil creeps with him. I may speak out of turn, but you asked my opinion. You play a dangerous game, courting the Chorus's approval. Do not let it interfere with your oath to the Tunon and the Overlord's laws. Any reservations I have aside, your military record speaks for itself. You are Tunan's Fatebinder, and my opinions on the matter don't come into it one way or another. That's the only thing that's keeping me alive here, more or less, or keeping certain party members around, at least, is the fact that, despite working with the Scarlet Chorus, I am at least not a member of the Scarlet Chorus, technically. I just wish that my actions would remember that, as well as my party members seem to. What do you think of our circumstances? The Overlord will not stand for civil war between the Archons. I would like to think that Tunan would broker peace between the two, but there is too much hostility between Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat. And of course, your association with the Archon of Secrets is no balm to heal the many wounds to this war. I doubt you'll be much help in bringing this conflict to an agreeable close. What do you think of our travel companions? I am more accustomed to traveling with the company of my soldiers, so I'm out of practice judging the worth of civilians and miscreants. If you had anyone particular in mind, I will give them some thought. Lantry? He's cool. I do not know how many years he has walked the face of Terratus, but he clearly knows more than he claims to. Since he claims to know a great deal indeed, there is no limit to what he could be holding back. Verse? I try not to. She's a force of chaos, an agent of the Voices of Nerat. Taking her into our confidence can only lead to ruin. And yet she is a capable fighter. For the time being, I am confident that you can trust her to serve your interests and rely on her skills in the battlefield. She may even offer some useful perspectives on the war. Kills in Shadow. A fascinating specimen, to be sure, though I am loath to tolerate beastmen serving under the banner of Kairos. Even I must admit that her strength and tenacity have inspired me. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I do not think that she would hesitate to hunt you for sport if the whim would appeal to her, so be warned. Ebb? She is opinionated and talented as she is vulgar. Much as we can disagree on the reasons behind this war, I have never found a more impressive example of a tearsman. I admit I also finding her quite striking. Whenever she makes a jab at me or Kairos or the Legion, in spite of whatever I may say in my defense, I am pleased to have captured her interest. But I would not have her know my thoughts on the matter. She is a southern savage after all, and I am a decorated soldier. I need no need to overcomplicate our feelings in a time of war. Siren. She is a complicated and volatile, even by Archon standards. Kairos took a significant risk by inviting Siren into the hierarchy. It would have been simpler to kill her than risk unleashing her power upon Terratus. Yet I am glad that Siren is with us. She brings innocence and dignity to a conflict that too often lacks either quality. There we go. Little bit of better follow-up with some of these characters. I still need to cycle through them one by one, more or less. I think Ebb might have been the first person I talked to really extensive. No, I think I've talked to Lantry and Ebb extensively. I don't remember if we got much with Verse, but I definitely need to talk to Kills in Shadow and Siren still. And we got another email. Email, not the right word. Archon Lovebridge. Oh, they're just addressing me as an Archon now. Allow me to address you by such a title before it becomes fashionable to do so. I pride myself as a woman who stays ahead of the trends. Why Kairos smites some but allows others to exist is a question we all ponder. The Overlord can certainly appear arbitrary, if I've learned anything. That's the point. Kairos is intentionally aloof and distant, both for matters of personal security and because if you had to wrangle the most powerful entities of Terratus, you'd need to keep them from getting too comfortable. To me, the most obvious answer is that Kairos knows exactly what you are doing. She probably approves of your actions and is likely working at every opportunity to create a situation wherein you are acting in your own self-interest while satisfying her ambitions as well. You have to consider one important detail. There's nowhere left in Terratus to conquer now that the Tears are in the Overlord's grasp. What would the great generals even do at a time of peace? The Voices of Nerat is barely tolerable when you have need of a spy master. Why keep around such a monster when you no longer have need of such a gruesome weapon? I would argue it is in Kairos' interest that the Tears be a costly invasion that claims the lives of many of the Archons as possible. Not enough meat on the Tears to keep too many sharks sated very long. Kairos ordered everyone to take Ascension Hall or die. The or die must have been an acceptable option, correct? If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say you have the unspoken backing of the Overlord. It's not like Blade and Mark can't find you whenever he wants. Myothus. That is a very interesting response in general, yeah. It also appears to be the end of our conversation because there's no response I can do. It's just archived, and that's the end of it. That's a good point. That could be the reason why Kairos has tolerated this conflict for so long between the Scarlet Chorus and the Disfavored. They may have intentionally brought up two armies that would hate each other, so that once they were done taking over the entire world for them, they would just kill each other, which seems to be next on the docket. Yeah. So that might be the end of our pen pal conversations for a while. That was an enjoyable addition to the game. And I think it's going to go back to being on pause for a while. At least until I progress to the next chapter or something. Voices? Oh, not one for his throne anymore, is he? Hello, dead people everywhere. Sybil, the once defender of Echo Call Crossing, lies before you. It is difficult to tell where her fiery red hair ends and the injuries begin to the layers of blood. With all the wounds she has sustained, a good number of them appear to have been made after her death. So we've read that one before. But there's more. They're growing. Sedenia's body is difficult to recognize, a patchwork of puncture wounds, gashes, dust, and dried blood. The famously defiant master of the Forge clearly refused to accept her fate without a titanic struggle. With the secrets the Silent Archive uncovered, the censor no longer has any purpose beyond serving as a vessel for knowledge. She has been propped upright by multiple spikes, a garish reminder that the limits of personal advancement within the chorus. Even in death, Rediman's still open eyes manage to convey a sense of manic desperation. He teeters over the edge of the abyss, just as he did in life. Chrysantha. That's it. That's all it says. I think there was supposed to be text there that shows up, but instead it's just her name and nothing else. Enemies of the Scarlet Chorus who have not yet earned the spike are left to hang in the cliff wall until death comes for them. I think the one person's gone that we sentenced to death before. Alright, voices. I can't wait to piss you off again. It's my only act of defiance I have left. The voices of Nerat regards you in an unreadable expression. Maybe we should just kill them all and start again. That would be a delight. Bah. We can always dispatch our howling mob when Ash and his iron clods are a stain on this country. Fatebinder, always a pleasure. What do you need to know? We're dizzy with answers. Let's see. I could ask them about themselves. Let's dig a little bit. What would you tell me something about yourself? Why, we're honored that you would ask. As a child, we once dreamed of standing before an endless staircase. Once you took your first step, you couldn't go back down. It's funny how much life works that way. But we suspect that isn't what you want to know. A puff of green mist swirls from behind his mask, taking the form of a smile, before disappearing. Yes, that's exactly it. Tell me more. You want more? Oh, well, we're so happy to indulge. We once challenged the Archon of Winds to a foot race. We won by planting a lackey at the finish line beforehand, wearing a believable replica of our mask. We got to call her the Archon of Gullibility for a decade. The Archon prattles on for several minutes, abruptly changing the subject just when your attention wanes. It's like we always said. If the Beastmen tribes recognized a quarter of their potential, they could devastate Kairos' forces. He continues on to the next subject without pausing or giving you room to speak up. Tunon's gavel is only as powerful as his lawful right to wield it. Think about that. Does it muddle your senses to imagine how, as he goes on, you feel as if the good-natured discussion is entering dangerous territory? I know you might not understand this right now, but it has been talking for a very long time. Can we leave? But have you plumbed the ocean's depths, or peered into the spaces between stars? If people saw the world through our eyes, they wouldn't call us mad. We once dropped the seventh eye down a crevice just to see what was at the bottom. We were surprised to find you don't remember how the conversation got here, and that frightens you. The Archon talks at great length, leading you down labyrinth of rhetoric, at once alien and fascinating, sensible and mad. While the voices could sway masses, you get the impression that he is just as accustomed to jabbering to himself in isolation. You leave the experience in numb disbelief, wondering what you've taken away from the exchange. That was incredible. Thank you. We got fairly proof with the Scarlet Chorus from doing that. So because he's got so many personalities and memories and minds all jammed in there, He's just used to talking forever with himself, and so I accidentally opened up the gate to just him rambling in random directions forever. Okay. What about your history? By all means, then. Would you prize secrets from our great flame, our green flame, or luxuriate in the calming wind of our brilliance? Well, you cannot! Every secret is as precious to us as 1,000 lies, and we will co-sign you to the interrogators if you find us stealing even a recipe for hardjack. I don't wish to steal your secrets, Archon, only to learn of your brilliance. The voice of Nerat regards you with an unreadable expression. Have at us, then. You may question us to your heart's content. Show no mercy. Why do you speak to yourself in plural form? I think I already know why. Because it is absolutely insane. Do you really need another reason? That much should be obvious. We are multitudes, an army unto ourselves, a council of shadows babbling to be heard. Where there was one, now there are many. We are a legion, a stream of consciousness given shape and intention. We are the voices of Nerat. Your body, the green flames, why? Click, please. There we go. We are greater than your confines. No stable form can house our magnificence. The flames around his neck flare out in a form of regal color. No mind could house our intellect. No body could entrap our skill. We are an all-consuming fire, unfixed and resplendent. Do you even hear yourself? Careful with your words. We take criticism as well as any artist. Poorly. You wouldn't want us to paint the landscape with the juices of your organs, would you? I honestly think I could take you. Honestly. I think you could take him. I don't think he's going to be that hard to fight. Tell me about your rise to power. In our youth, we were the youngest scion of House Nerat. These were the early years of Kairos' reign, if numbers make any difference to your fragile matter. The Northern Empire wasn't the bastion of order and peace that we know of it today. Our gracious Overlord contended with sedition and lawlessness from his subjects, from his enemies, and even from the noble house of Nerat. Yes, I'm sure you were all so incredibly noble. Let me guess. Your father was in debt to 100 brothels, and your mother drugged herself senseless so she didn't have to deal with looking at you. We would continue without your commentary, Songbird. He shoots her a piercing look, flaring up with green flames in his eyes. Ha ha, you're both on equal footing because you're both Archon, so you don't have any authority over her. And I might be an Archon soon for all we know. Whispers spread, as whispers do. House Nerat never lacked in petty neighbors and better rivals. You must remember that these were delicate years for the Overlord. An accusation of treason was as damning as the treason itself. Something had to be done before we fell under the shadow of our family's guilt. How did you escape the shadow of guilt? We did what came naturally, of course. We took initiative. Before any accusations could fly, we had our family driven to the city square and pillaring among the masses of Kairos' unfaithful. Before the shocked eyes of the community, we interrogated them one by one, flaying their skin with tanner's knives and putting their loyalties to the test. Father, mother, sisters, aunts, all of them questioned, all of them found guilty. You tortured your own family. We tortured enemies of Kairos for the safety of the Empire. It was our ardent hope that someone could recognize the justness of our act, the uncompromising need to carve a place for ourselves outside of our own unfortunate family. Were they guilty? We don't remember. We remember choosing to survive. We remember the sound of skin peeling away from muscle. The rest was formality. It was a demonstration for the Overlord. This one can be trusted. A message that was gratefully received. Our devotion to Kairos was the terror and pride of the community. The son of Nerat had grown to something greater than our family name. In time, the Archon of Misery heard tell of our deeds and invited us into a better life. Yeah. So I can either approve of his actions or not, basically. I can say that I could not have done all that for an advancement, or say that House Nerat needed to be cleansed of treachery. Well. There's no middle ground, which is probably where I'd land. In this world, my character probably could do that for advancement, so it's probably inaccurate to say he couldn't. But, no, it's straight up like slow flaying and torture, so no. I could not have done all that for advancement. More wrath for the Scarlet Chorus. It's like I'm collecting it. To our eternal delight, the disapproval of a gnat like yourself will never matter. Yeah, the gnat who does all your tasks for you. Quickly and without flaw. The gnat. When you are ashes upon the breeze, we will be playing an instrument of jubilation as we dance the length of the old walls. You said the Archon of Misery offered a better life. He took it upon himself to be our instructor. He taught us the beauty of agony, how to slide the knife just so, how to divide flesh with no mortal wound, and how to inflict the waking nightmares upon our foes. No more of our clumsy, blood-soaked efforts for spectacle. True torture is a sensory performance, staged for an audience of one. He made us an artist. We were proficient at our work. Our name spread beyond the boundaries of the Child Empire as people whispered it in private or shrieked in fear. Whole galleries were erected to display our accomplishments, which were studied and interpreted by head-scratching scholars. Our talent with the blade, rope, and saw grew so renowned that Kairos' faithful and unfaithful alike believed that we could steal truths from their minds with little more than a stare. And in time, life imitated art. Such is the beauty of Kairos' domain, that the remarkable reign over the mediocre and their talents are recognized, nourished, and perfected. So he was just a person that tortured people and would hunt for their secrets, and then because of the weird elements of this world where believing in something or having people believe in you just kind of makes it true, that probably led to him being this. A weird green flame ghost monster thing that consumes people whole. Just literally now. Just like how Graven Ash got the ability to defend his soldiers because they believed in him. In a weird sort of way, yeah, we're getting into the territory of fables, or as people who only play games might know as the Telltale game Wolf Among Us. It's based on a comic series called Fables, where all these fictional creatures well, all of them, really, like the Big Bad Wolf and Alice and everything like that, they all exist for real, Pinocchio and so on, but their power and their shape are all determined by how much people remember the story behind their characters, and Beauty and the Beast is there and so on, and they essentially can get more powerful the more famous they get, and stuff like that, which leads to some people trying to tamper with that. And in a weird way, this entire world kind of works that way, too. I would like to report my activities. You return victorious, and our censor has come to the fold with a wealth of intelligence, as much as our meager brain could hold under the circumstances. But do not grow complacent. We have much work to do before the tears are draped in scarlet robes. The flames behind his mask may lick around the eye holes with anticipation. The censor returned to us without the silent archive. We suppose Tuna ought to know that you're not just in possession of forbidden lore. You've the teachings of the Tears with you. Now, you're the expert here, but that seems enough to warrant intent to distribute. We are tempted to ask you what our silence is worth. I like how I'm being blackmailed now for a decision that I, as the player, didn't get to make anyway. The Archon hurls a scepter into the air, gingerly catching it on its return before tapping the scepter to his mask. It'd be hard for us to keep a straight face. So for once his scepter throwing wasn't a green thing. So I can lie. But the lying shouldn't work, right? Of course he knows that I have the silent archive, because he just consumed the brain. He just consumed the mind, didn't he, of the person who had all the knowledge? Don't suppose you want to make an offer on it. What do you take us for, the local fence? He waves his hand at you with a dismissive wag, the flames in his fingers leaving trails of sickly green smoke linger in the air. Keep it! We wouldn't dare offend Kairos by holding on to such a thing. The edict of fire is quenched and the ruins smolder no more. Yet we detect a fire all the same, wicked Fatebinder. It burns in your heart. warming you with the knowledge of great power. Do not deny it. You have changed before our many eyes. The Edict of Fire still lives within me. I can't quite explain it. We smell the Overlord's power. You brew with promise. A cauldron, a caldera, a mixing pot of wonders ready to explode. But enough of this. We demand progress, and nothing will ever get done if you insist on plaguing us with frivolity. The time has come to handle matters in our home region. As you've no doubt noticed, the Edict of Stone has wreaked havoc on these once fertile lands. Our Scarlet Chorus recruits return from war hungry for provisions, but we have none to offer while the lands are thus blighted. The Archon cairn lies in the Stone Sea, clinging to life with both his petrified claws. If he would simply allow death to take him, the edicts would be resolved and our troubles at an end. Kill the incompetent fossil however you can. He is flanked by adoring Earthshaker mages, but they should prove no challenge to the likes of you. Now we've got Halfgate. Find our agent Misery in the ruined city of Halfgate. She will instruct you further. She has disappointed us to no end with her performance in the region so far. If you cannot squeeze some usefulness out of her, then I'm afraid her time in the choir has come to an end. Okay. Let's see. So have I sent you anyone who didn't end up on the pike or missing? What a ridiculous question, Fatebinder. We're horrified that you'd even ask. Audacity doesn't suit you at all. The flames around his collar form sharp angles, and he says nothing more. Alright, well, I'm just gonna leave him. Don't forget to bring us a souvenir in your travels. Cacophony has its charm, but we are always seeking outside amusements. No reason to bother asking him questions, because he always just throws me off midway through and has me start over anyway.